Hi everyone, and welcome to this video where we look at another member of my classic computer collection. And this particular model is one of the last computers I collected. It's the Amstrad CPC 6128. And it's a model that I initially wasn't going to do a video on because I did cover the Amstrad CPC 464 in a previous video. And I felt there probably wasn't much more to say. But actually this particular model does have some advanced features that are worth talking about. So let's take a look at it. I outlined the history and beginnings of the Amstrad CPC series in a previous video. For a fuller story, check that one out. But here's the potted version. Prior to getting into home computers, Amstrad, a UK firm owned by no-nonsense businessman Alan Sugar, sold mostly audio equipment. Amstrad entered the home computer market in June 1984. At that time, in the UK, and Europe at least, the crowded home computer market was dominated by the likes of the Commodore 64, the Sinclair ZX Spectrum, and a host of other less well-known brands. Alan Sugar wanted a computer that was the complete deal, a solid package from an established, well-known firm using tried and true technology. He wanted something with a full-stroke keyboard, its own monitor, a good version of BASIC, the full complement of RAM, 80 columns of text across the screen if desired, decent sound, colour and graphics, together with expansion options. Something that avoided the spaghetti jumble of cords and power packs. Something that could be used not just for games, but for home business applications too. Something that was affordable for the home market. Something that stood out from the rest if you saw it in a magazine or a shop window. He got it in the Amstrad CPC 464, which went on to be one of the most successful computers in Europe at that time. The CPC was good, but using a tape deck as your main storage option in the mid-1980s wasn't really state of the art. Very quickly, Amstrad saw potential, or indeed the need for, a disk-based version also. And this resulted in the CPC 664, introduced in April 1985 in the UK. The model included a built-in disk drive rather than a cassette deck. What's more, being Z80 based and disk enabled, the computer was now capable of CP/M, which was somewhat of a standard operating system for business-orientated 8-bit computers. It turned out the CPC 664 was largely an interim model, as it was soon eclipsed and then replaced with a more capable computer, the CPC 6128. Not only did the CPC 6128 also have a built-in disk drive, but it sported 128K of memory and came with CP/M Plus, an enhanced version of that venerable operating system. Interestingly, the CPC 6128 was the first Amstrad CPC model sold in the USA. It appeared there on the 13th of June 1985, even before it was sold in Europe and the UK, its main market territory. It appeared in those regions on August the 15th of that same year. The computer did very well. Here it is. So here's my machine. You can see it loaded up with a game. We've got some discs in the corner of the desk there. So let's have a closer look at it. First of all, the keyboard. It's a nice keyboard. It's easy to type in. It's got a good feel to it. There's no numeric keypad, but you can see function keys over there on the right. And there's a cursor collection down in the bottom on the right there too. So there's the name. There's a little indicator that power's flowing there. Top of the disk drive, it's got some handy codes that might be useful for programming stamped on there to do with colors and keyboard codes. Now I'll just try and show you, I'll have to lift this up. I'll show you the front of the disk drive. There it is. It's a 3-inch disk drive, and I'll talk about the 3-inch disc that this unit uses a little later on in this video. Coming around on the right, you can see A couple of screws that just hold the disk drive in. Again, those helpful codes. Not sure how many people would actually use those, but they're there anyway. Coming around the back, you've got volume control, on-off switch, plenty of vents there for cooling. You've got a disk drive interface, and that's for an external Amstrad 3-inch disk drive that you could buy, but it's a very standard interface, and you can connect a 3.5-inch disk drive to it as well with the appropriate jumpers. It's a monitor socket. Then there's two power inputs. One's for 5 volts, the other's for 12 volts. 5 volts is for the computer power, 12 volts is for the disk drive, and the power for those comes from the monitor. There's an expansion card there for peripherals, and also a card to plug a parallel printer into. Coming round to the right side, and we can see a cassette socket there. There's a joystick socket. It's a pretty standard joystick socket, and a stereo socket for audio output there as well. Come now to the bottom of the computer. You can see the label there. Notice that it's assembled in Korea. So let's check out the monitor. Here it is. These machines were powered by the monitor. That's what one of those cables is for. You can see mine's a little bit scratched. That small knob down there is the brightness knob. It's got a useful carry handle on the monitor, carted about. And here we have a 12 volt socket, so that's where that cord from the computer plugs into. Gets power for the disk drive. And we just have a video plug there, as well as the 5 volt plug that powers the computer. So same colour as the computer, so it fits in nicely as far as the decor is concerned. Just a look around around the back. Here's the top, plenty of vents in the cover, a vertical hole button down on the lower right, and this just shows the label on the back. So let's open up the machine. You can see the main board there, large bank of RAM chips. These models had 128K of RAM. Now an 8-bit machine could only address 64K of that, but this extra RAM was used for bank switching or as a virtual disk drive under CPM. You see the Z80 chip up on the top there. That big chip on the right's the floppy disk controller. Yeah, quite a neatly set out motherboard. If we have a look at the other side of it towards the disk drive, you can see it snuggled in there. It's simply screwed in. It's very easy to remove if you need to clean it or service it in any way. And here it is out of the unit. Quite easy to clean the heads if you need to do that. So here are the 3-inch discs that are used with this machine. They've got two sides, a side A and a side B, and the machine can't access both sides together, so you've got to flip the disc over if you want to use the other side. It's like having two discs, very much like the BBC machines. Now I've added another disk drive to my machine, and I've added a conventional 3.5-inch drive. The interface supports that. It's good to have two drives with these machines, especially when you're running CPM, because they expect two drives and it just makes life a lot easier. I've had to add a couple of jumpers in to make it work, but it works very well. It also means that if something goes wrong with the 3-inch drive or the 3-inch discs, I can still have a storage solution, because I can make that 3.5-inch drive drive A, in other words the sole drive, and that's handy as well. So it's quite a useful addition to the system to have that second drive wired up. So let's put the machine through its paces. So here it is at boot up. Now the inbuilt operating system is one that's known as MS-DOS, or it could be pronounced AMS-DOS, I'm not sure. It stands for Amstrad Disk Operating System. Essentially it's an extended version of BASIC with a number of disk and cassette commands and functions. From this you can also load CPM. And what I'll be doing is I'll show you a word processing program that you can load from MS-DOS, and then I'll show you a little bit of CPM usage, and then I'll show you a demo program. This is a recent one that people have made, which really shows off the graphics and sound capabilities of this machine. So we'll start with loading in a simple word processing program called ProText. So here we go. I'm using the 3.5-inch drive for this particular load. I've got that configured as drive A. So we'll just type in the command to load the program off the disk. And away we go. We'll get the attractive splash screen while we wait for everything to load in. And there it is. So it's an 80-column word processor. I had to play around with it. It looks pretty good. It does everything you'd expect a word processor to do. And it's native to the operating system, so you don't have to load in CPM just to do some word processing. Yeah, it's very nice. Keyboard's very responsive. Quite a joy to type on, actually. So now we'll load some CPM, and this time I'll use the built-in disk drive. Load that in and issue the necessary command. Just check the directory's alright, and then just put in a second disk. This will be my B disk, and just check that the directory's okay on that one. And there we see standard CPM. So you can see there, if you're familiar with CPM, you'll see most of the files you associate with that package are all there. So finally we're going to see a demo, and this is called Batman Forever, and it was made in 2011. And it really shows off the capabilities of the Amstrad 6128. I won't talk during this, I'll just let you listen to it. Please watch it all the way through, it's quite impressive. enjoyed that demo. It wasn't the full demo. If you wanted the full demo, just visit that wiki link that I put up at the beginning and download it and play it on an emulator. It's absolutely amazing. So how do we sum up this machine? It came in late to the home market as far as the 8-bit offerings are concerned. It had this non-standard 3-inch disk drive, but despite that it was pretty capable. Full stroke keyboard, you could certainly do serious work on it. You could run CPM, so any business related stuff you could do. Good sound, good graphics, pretty capable overall. There was lots of software for it, particularly in its markets of the UK and Europe. So yes, pretty impressed, and I'm glad I've got one in my collection. Well, I hope you enjoyed that look and my take on the Amstrad CPC 6128. So until next time, keep well, and we'll see you then.